Thank you very much. I am delighted to be here and helping to stamp out stigma. I'm going to start with my diagnosis, when it all started, and then talk about how music has affected me. I was diagnosed with depression, seasonal affective disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, and anxiety when I was 12. It started when I was 10, but with anxiety started much earlier, but that's another story. I really want to talk about when I ended up having a severe episode of depression. I was 34, and the most hard thing about it was that it took effort to move any at all. It's like, I had the weight and the darkness just consumes you. The darkness and the weight never lifts. There was never a time when I could say, oh, I feel a little better today. And of course, a side effect of the medication and the inactivity, I gained 130 pounds, so that doesn't make me feel any better. Like I said, nothing would lift my mood. I would spend time with family, because that had always been an important thing to me. In the beginning, I would go for drives, but you'll see a little later how that became difficult. And I would play Sudoku. Finally, I decided that there had to be some way to find some joy, some pleasure in life. So I decided to go on a cruise, which I'd been on many before, and it always made me feel better. But this time was very different. This time my sister had to go with me because they were afraid I wasn't going to come back home. That was not my plans. I was really just trying to feel something positive. And during the cruise, I mean, I could acknowledge that, yeah, the view is nice, but it didn't make me feel anything. It was just an acknowledgement in my head that, okay, that should make me feel something, but it does not. I went to the comedy shows, nothing there. So this cruise became just another place for me to sit and be miserable. This went on for 3 years straight. There was no reprieve whatsoever. I frequently had to call my therapist just to remain alive. And hearing her voice was usually enough to calm me down and remind me that I do have people who care and are willing to help me. Now back to the driving thing. I could only drive in familiar areas because I could only see what was right in front of me. Had tunnel vision completely. I couldn't see what was beside me, behind me, and ahead any further than the car in front of me. And that was really one of the hardest things for me to accept, that I can't, because I would always just get in the car and drive. I drive in the mountains. I'm from West Virginia, so, you know, the mountains made me calm usually, and the scenery made me feel better, but nothing. Then, about 6 months into this, I had to leave work. But I knew before I left work, I needed to help somebody in some way, and I promised myself that I would leave the house every day. Because during earlier episodes, that was a huge issue. I would just stay home, and that would be, you know, I would do nothing. So that was my two promises to myself. And I did leave the house every day. I would eat lunch at the same place, the same food, every day for like 2.5 years. And as for volunteer work, I set up an opportunity with the agency where I had done my internship for my master's degree. I explained to them that I was very ill, couldn't do a whole lot, but wanted to do something. So the first time I was there, it's like I was punching holes in papers to put into a binder, and that was pretty much all I could do. In those early years, I would go for like 30 minutes one day a week. Over the years, as I've gotten better, I was up to 2 days a week, or 2 afternoons a week, not all day. And I feel like I belong there and that I'm a part of the team. There's things that I do nobody else does. Nobody else wants to try to do. And, leaving the house meant that I had to take a shower and get dressed every day. Well, that consumed all the energy I had for the day, which meant there was no energy for anything. There was no energy. I would go to NAMI also, and I facilitated groups there. But, my world consisted pretty much of volunteering, going to therapy, and doctor's appointments. I used music to gauge how well I was feeling each day. On good days, I'd sing along. And on the bad days, I would just listen. Looking back, I now can see that on my best days, I was consumed by the music. The heaviness and darkness was minimal, but I could only see that looking back. I couldn't recognize that at the time. And I only played music in the car. So I have no idea if I could have felt better more often if I would have been playing music in the house. Once the depression lifted, it took 20 years for my brain to really come back and really be functional. And I still have deficits. I also had to learn what life was like without depression. And that's quite a journey. To have no depression when I've been depressed since I was 10. So, that was just a very foreign concept to me. And the last year I have been working part-time, which is great, and makes me feel a little better. So I would like to thank you guys for having me here tonight. Thank you for being here tonight to acknowledge our mental illnesses and endeavor to end stigma. Thank you very much.